Hello, welcome to the Snap UK Picks edition, where we look at predicting the results of the NFL fixtures for Week 16. Now, what makes this the side salad to the meal you didn't order with the Snap UK podcast is we are doing a competition to see who is the most accurate in pickers. And we're seeing out of the three of us who's going to win after. I think we started at about week 9, John.
I think 10.
Okay.
I think week 10 was the first one we picked.
It's about week 9.
It is about week 1. 1 out, as was the reference from Tuesday.
Absolutely. So what we are looking at doing is, as I say, finding out who's the most accurate predictor. We're going to be having a look at the games for week 16, but before we get there, I think it's very important that we take stock of where we are so far. Who is winning at this point?
Last week did not go well for some of us.
Last week, I don't know. Last week was fine. We all finished 12-3.
Ah,
That'll do.
So we all got the Rams wrong. We all got the Steelers wrong. I got who was it? I picked the 49ers. Mike picked the Eagles, and Paul
I picked the Vikings.
No, you picked the Jaguars. You
Really?
You then
was I persuaded over?
You changed your mind on the Vikings in the end, but yeah. So we all finished 12-3. So Paul still leads by 2. So I think you're at 61. Me and Griff are both 2 back at 59.
Fantastic. So I've got 2 weeks before I, get to inflict. I don't even know what the winner is. The winner just wins the other 2 persons' respect.
No, well, I think the winner gets to pick the loser's punishment. But I think was what we said at the beginning. But we haven't thought of anything yet. So
you guys are going to love those cowboy tattoos I make you get.
But yeah, on the good side, I think we're all basically around 3/4 correct. And that's what it is, which is probably what we should be.
There's always going to be a degree of error, and I think let's see where we are with week 16. So I'm taking these fixtures from NFL.
Before you go any further, Paul, are you not just ahead by 2, despite in the opening week going up by about 7, and then you've been you've been worse than us or the same as us ever since? You just had one really good week.
I'm taking the Pittsburgh approach. I go that far in front that I'll win overall.
Fair enough.
It's also known as the New Orleans 09 approach.
Mm.
It's up for debate, but you are right. I have lost to my wife, who has no interest in this at 1 week.
Yeah, your first week was. I think you were up by 5 after the first week, and other than it's pretty much even Stevens. Yeah.
Are there any humdinger games this week? Anyone? Any real zingers, John?
There's a couple of spiffing games ahead that I'm really looking forward to.
There's a fine game going in Landover, Maryland. See, Washington football team are playing the Carolina Panthers. See, it's no good unless I've got a cigar and I'm wearing a zoot suit, and I can't do either in this horrible tier I'm in.
No, it gets worse for us on. I
think
Saturday, but he's still better than most.
I think there's some real banana skins in this week, though. There's potential banana skins. So let's go through them. So I'm going to start by the Minnesota multi-failure Vikings going over to New Orleans.
Is this the Christmas Day game?
It is indeed.
This is the Christmas Day game, yes.
Nice time for the UK audience as well. 9:30 Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
I'll just about be getting up. Excellent.
I mean, I'll probably be just about getting dressed.
I'll basically be a form of human foie gras at that point.
So, any given Friday?
Yeah.
Come on then, who's picking first on this one?
I'm going to go first. This is my think of Minnesota might do it, but then there's the Kirk Cousins paradox. New Orleans, it's in New Orleans. They're better than the Vikings. The Vikings are just a dumpster fire who've given up on the season, I feel.
John?
I think the Saints, but I'm not confident. The Saints are disappointing me a bit each week, but I think the defense will be enough to bottle up the New Orleans offensive threat. So I'm going to go with the Saints. But yeah, I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game for some reason.
I've got it 17-24 in favour of the Saints, and I think you'll either see good Drew Brees or you'll see Taysom Hill, because I don't think they can afford to lose momentum. And so Sean Payton will make the change if it's not paying off. 17-24 to the Saints for me.
I think the Saints were they were a field goal away from drawing with a team that were the Chiefs 13-2,
13-1, yeah,
13-1,
yeah.
And the last year's Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
New Orleans aren't great, but New Orleans not great. It's still better than probably at least 14, 15 other teams.
I think you already hit the nail on the head with how often do you want to pick Kirk Cousins?
That's it.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins against, to be honest, even Jameis.
Well, yeah.
And it's the unknown quantity of LASIK Jameis, which none of us have seen yet, as he becomes the most accurate passer in history.
There is more chance of you being the most accurate passer in history.
Unless they've given him like Terminator eyes, so he can, it sort of goes, he can spot stuff.
Well, thank God he's not
future.
playing at Pittsburgh, because the running back would be buggered.
But yeah,
James Conner.
Yeah, no. I think even last year's Jameis is still better than any Kirk Cousins. So, and funnier. So that's even better.
And about $84 million cheaper.
Mm.
So the next game we have is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going over to the Detroit Dumpster Fire.
The Detroit Dumpster Fire that may not have its head coach either, because Darryl Bevell has been a close contact of someone with COVID and may miss the weekend if he doesn't test negative. So I can't see the Lions pulling it off, but they did hang around in the weekend's game. They are, I think, perennially, they are better than their results show with the Lions. I tried to add some context with scores this week, hence putting numbers on it. I've gone 30-21 to the Bucs because the Bucs never seem to play 3 consecutive good quarters. So at some point, the Lions will rack up 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then Brady will finish him off. That seems the likely way for me. So I'll take a Bucs win, but it won't be a walkover.
I disagree. I'm thinking this is going to be a walkover by Tampa Bay, just purely because of the Detroit secondary. Name one player from it.
Buffon.
Name 2 players. No, I can't disagree. They are bad, but the Bucs are not. There's very little killer instinct in this Bucs team.
But there's some real talent. This is the fantasy team you wanted 2 years ago.
Yeah,
but that's the problem. 2 years ago.
Yeah, I still think it's Tampa Bay by. I think this is going to be at least 2 scores.
I don't think it will be, just because I don't trust the Tampa offense enough. And actually, the Lions aren't as bad. I mean, they got stuffed by the Titans last week, but actually the Titans are really good, and the Titans are doing that to a lot of teams. And the Tampa Bay offense won't do that to them. I mean, did you see Stafford's no-look pass into 3 people for the touchdown? It was absolutely beautiful. Like if Mahomes did that, we're seeing endless gifs of that or whatever. But it's Stafford. But I just don't like the Bucs enough to think that they're going to walk away with it.
Did you see that they lost by 3 scores?
Yeah. I'm just, the Titans are really good. And they're much better than this Bucs team.
I think it bodes well for me keeping my record so far that all of us have agreed on the results.
So far.
Yeah.
So I think the next one's going to be interesting because we've got our first divisional game in that San Francisco are going over to Arizona.
You say this is going to be interesting. I'm saying I think this is going to be a consensus choice. I reckon we're all taking the Cardinals, and I think it's fairly easy. 27-16 for me. The Niners have just got nothing in the tank. They're down to CJ Beathard at quarterback. They signed Josh Rosen off the Bucs practice squad to back him up. They can't even go back to Mullins because he's having Tommy John surgery, I think, to repair his elbow. It's all over for the Niners. The Cardinals will walk this. I may have even not been generous enough with the score. It'll be a walkover.
Yes, I agree.
I'd like to see Rosen come in and destroy the Cardinals. I can't see it happen. I'd like that to happen. It won't happen.
No, I don't think it will happen.
This is consensus pick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I agree with Michael. I think it could be a bit of a trouncing.
Are Arizona going to make the playoffs?
So it feels so disrespectful when we say that to a Kyle Shanahan team because he's clearly so good. But he is the unluckiest coach when it comes to injuries. But there's going to be all change there next season. I think different quarterback, several different receiving options because Debo and Ayuk will be fit hopefully more often. So I think they've only been on the field together like in 3 games this season. And if you've got both playing and, I don't know, a halfway decent quarterback, if they go after Matt Ryan or even Kirk Cousins, 2 players which Shanahan has utilised and as effused about before, then I think there'll be a much greater offensive unit next year. They can't keep being unlucky.
Yeah.
There's also a really big San Francisco fan who has expressed his interest in wanting to play for them. He's currently playing in green. I see him playing there before his career ends.
That is possible, certainly. But I think the resurgence in Green Bay, the fact that they look like a title-winning team, means it's less likely. It would if the relationship with the new coach there hadn't worked, that is where he would have gone.
I think as well. I think we mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Sherman has been quite vocal that there's going to be a lot of change next year on the defense as well because contracts and stuff are up. And they need to move on.
That's really fair. So we've got 3 consensus picks so far. So
oh god, yeah.
We then have the Miami Dolphins going over to I don't even know the name of the stadium in Las Vegas.
It's the Gamble Hard and Gamble Long and Pay Us All Your Money Las Vegas Raiders Stadium. No, I don't know the name of the stadium either off the top of my head.
Don't worry, it's not funded by the Mafia Stadium.
Shame it's not in Oakland Bowl.
Yeah.
I think we could be going 4 consensus picks out of 4 here. No one's taking the Raiders. No one's taking the Raiders.
I am.
Well, you're a mug.
The Allegiant Stadium.
Okay, cool.
I would never have told you that in a million years.
The rumor.
Why are you taking the Raiders?
Gut.
Your gut's wrong. The Dolphins' defense will have a field day with that.
The thing here is we don't even know who's going to be quarterback in the Raiders. They're splitting snaps. Derek Carr's still struggling with the groin injury. I actually think Mariota against this Dolphins defense actually gives them a better chance because he's more likely to run and the Dolphins secondary is very, very good. But either way, I think the Dolphins will breeze this. I've got it down as 30-17 to the Dolphins. I just think they're on a roll. They can see the playoffs. Tua is getting better every week, like we said he would. And the Raiders can't force turnovers. They can't get the ball away from anyone.
It was the same before Gruden, and it's now happening with Gruden as coach. They remember the year they were awful, and the year before Gruden. Is it the year before? Literally the year before he joined, and they brought in Bowman. I think he got their only interception of the year when the ball just sort of fell on him.
Yes.
It's just shit, quite frankly. Josh Jacobs' form has gone as well. I think it's probably to do with injury.
Well, yeah, he got injured. I don't know. I think that's a bit harsh. He's still been an excellent contributor this season, but they're looking to lean on him too hard, and they've sort of lost their identity a little bit. They were extremely aggressively offensive early in the year. Don't forget, they're the only team to beat the Chiefs, and they did it in a shootout because they know they can't rely on their defense. But slowly, they are regressing to the mean offensively, and you can't afford to do that when your defense is not very good. And then to lose and let's be honest, Derek Carr has been a top 10 quarterback this year. You don't have to like it, but he has. To then not have him, I'm not sure that's ideal, but Mariota played very well. And against the Dolphins, that could well work. So they'll be in the game, but they won't be in it at the end.
My feeling is the Miami defense is very, very good, but they haven't come up against Darren Waller.
True.
And the guy is in great form at the minute.
True.
He is. But, on the other side, the Dolphins have a tight end who's, probably Waller's top 2.
You're talking about Mike Gesicki?
Mike Gesicki, yeah.
He's out for the season. He's done.
Was he out? Oh.
Yeah. Oh, he's not played for a couple of weeks, has he?
I didn't see that, so apologies. Well, that change. That doesn't change. I'm still picking the Dolphins.
I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders. I look forward to regretting that decision.
You've got two to lose.
Absolutely. So with that, we've got the next game. We've got the Colts going over to Heinz Field.
Colts. This is my pick in the regular podcast, and
it would have been my pick if you hadn't beaten me to it. I think the Steelers are on the slide. They'll lose 4 out of 4. I see Roethlisberger today described himself as, you can't blame people for criticising me when you play like poo. And it's very true. That is exactly how they play. Here's an interesting fact. I haven't done a lot of facts on the podcast because I seem to have piled them all into yesterday's one, but here's one. He has averaged fewer than 6 yards per attempt in 5 straight games, which is the longest streak of his career and the longest active streak in the NFL. There are only 3 other quarterbacks with such a streak in 5 or more games in the last 5 years. So 6 yards or fewer per attempt over 5 successive games. You want to take a stab at who those 3 quarterbacks might be over the last 5?
Peyton Manning.
No.
Eli?
No.
Nathan Peterman.
Nathan Peterman. Ding, 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 ding.
Mike Glennon.
No.
Trubisky?
No.
Blaine Gabbert.
No. None of these players have played.
Bortles.
No. None of these players, apart from Bortles, have probably played 5 successive games. But go on. You've got to think that the 2 people have both been starting quarterbacks in the last 5 years. Bad starting quarterback.
Jay Cutler.
Nope, and nope. Jay Cutler never averaged no yards. He just used to hurl it down the field. One of them is still a starter at the moment.
Wow.
Dalton?
Nope.
Bill Rivers.
Nope. No! You bellend.
I just like an opportunity. I like an opportunity to dump on Rivers.
Sam Darnold.
That's
one of them. The other one is the much maligned and much forgotten Deshaun Kaiser.
Ah.
That is the level at which Big Ben is currently playing.
Wow.
Deshaun
Kaiser, the most. That's the Theresa May of quarterbacks.
Here are the quarterbacks since week 11 that Roethlisberger is currently better than: Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Mike Glennon, and Colt McCoy. That's it in terms of QBR. I was surprised to see Ryan on there, but he's thrown a lot of picks recently.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's a shoddy selection of blokes.
As well, you have to remember as well, a lot of those guys are playing with awful defenses and are having to do risky stuff. Ben doesn't have that excuse. He's got a decent line ahead of him as well.
I think the arm's just a bit more worn out than we thought. I think he's averaged the most attempts per game or something this season. He's thrown the most attempts in the NFL this season. So maybe they've worn him out because the running game collapsed so early in the year.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's interesting.
I mean, we are going unanimous on this. It's Indy, isn't it?
Indy.
Indy. 24-21 for me. I don't think it'll be a blowout because the defenses are too good on both sides, but 24-21.
I don't like how much I've gone for Rivers recently. That depresses me. The next game we have is another unanimous pick as the Atlanta Falcons go over to Kansas City.
Yeah, this doesn't even require much analysis. Which team has the weakest secondary overall in the NFL this season? It's either the Eagles or the Falcons, I would say. They haven't got a chance. I've only got it down as a 10-point win for the Chiefs because they don't blow people out. But their running back situation is a bit dodge. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out. Le'Veon Bell got injured at the end of last week's game. So it's Darren Williams or Damian Williams, whichever one it is.
The guy who got two touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's him, the Williams. Yeah, but
wasn't the other one? Because didn't the guy got 2 touchdowns?
He's out for the year. With COVID,
he's on the COVID list.
It's another Williams. The other Williams.
The other one.
Like Venus and the other one. That's her.
Steven.
Yeah, it's her. She's playing at running back. Serena Williams.
Venus Williams in a halfback.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? The Chiefs.
And they got Shady McCoy. No, he's at the Tampa, isn't he? So apologies.
He's in Tampa, barely playing. They'll steamroller the Falcons. The Falcons have done well to recover a little bit of pride this season, but they're not in any position to win this game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kansas City. Kansas.
Yeah.
So if we then have a look at the next game, we've got the Chicago Bears going over to the Trevor Lawrence-bound Jacksonville.
And it's going to be consensus again because none of you are taking the Jags. The Bears are on a hot streak. They're one of the informed teams in the league. You know, they've scored 24 or more in 5 successive games now. Trubisky's on one of the best rolls of his career. We know it won't last. He's a streaky player, but it's working, and they're probably going to the playoffs because if they beat the Jags and the Packers haven't got anything to play for in the final week, they could well beat the Packers, and then they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This isn't the game that Mr. Biscuit becomes soggy.
It doesn't. I don't think. Oh, fucking hell! Fuck. I don't think it matters. Montgomery is in such good form that I think even if Trubisky has a shaky game, he'll compensate for that, which he hasn't. He didn't do for the first year and a half of his career, but he's now. They're scheming him right.
Yeah, they're utilising him properly. I agree. Yeah. I think this is. It could be an absolute hammering for the Jags if the Bears can be bothered.
Yeah, it's a shame as well that Tariq Cohen isn't there because I think if he was fit this year, I think they could have. They'd probably be in better contention for the playoffs now. Yeah, but rather than just fighting for it, I think they could possibly even be safe.
Quite possibly. I don't have the numbers in front of me, which kind of makes this slightly pointless. But did anybody see Gardner Minshew's numbers from the game last week? Just the numbers.
No.
I know they got hammered, but if you look up his numbers, they were astoundingly good. If I just read you his numbers, you would never ever have thought that he was on a losing team. Let me find them for you. Hold on, I did save them. Hold on a second, they are here. His numbers from last week. He went 22 of 29, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He only had 7 incompletions. Like, he threw almost as many yards and fewer interceptions than Lamar Jackson. He isn't the reason they're bad. He just isn't the reason they'll ever win either.
Very much.
I know we don't get into defending him on this podcast because it makes John angry, and I don't see that hat pop off his head if he gets cross. But I'm just saying he isn't the reason that they're not very good.
Oh yeah, there's multiple reasons why that team aren't very good, and he's too often criticised for it. He's not done anything massively wrong other than be a bit of a wanky media personality that's upset John.
I was wondering, because every time I saw him, he was getting sacked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7. Was it?
Got 5 sacks.
Oh, 5, okay.
But lots of pressure. You know, it wasn't great, and the running game gave him no help at all last week. I think Robinson got injured, but only managed 2 yards a carry anyway. So they're not good. But
No,
the team around Minshew is hopeless.
We're completely overanalyzing this game.
we are, but it's nice to give it context. The Bears will win it. It's a solid victory. 2 or 3 scores.
The next one could be one which splits us. Cincinnati going over to Houston.
Well, this is one of the difficult ones of the week, but don't be clouded by the fact that the Bengals have just turned over a terrible Steelers team that couldn't get themselves together. Deshaun Watson has been losing games on the back of his team's mistakes. They dropped a ball into the opposition's hands for an interception at the weekend, or what was it in the end? Not safety, touchback. They dropped it out of the end zone, didn't they? The week before, it was the botched snap that cost them the game, as it counted as a fumble and a turnover. They won't walk all over this Bengals team, but they've got more than enough talent to handle this Bengals team, which will probably be having a celebratory hangover from beating the Steelers. 27-21 for me in favour of the Texans.
Texans.
Yeah, I was expecting this to split us. I agree with you. The Bengals took advantage of a situation in a divisional game which gave them extra motivation. This is Houston's
I
game
thought
to
it was
lose.
appropriate of you, and I had also planned to do the same, to apologise on the podcast yesterday to Ryan Finley after we slated him and said he hadn't
I've been slating him for weeks.
Yeah.
I've slated that poor man for weeks.
Yeah. Do you know what? He played fine, but he played fine because the Steelers played so badly. This Texans defence are more than capable of shutting him down, and they probably will, because he's not going to get that lucky again. And if we have to apologise to him again, then so be it. But I don't see it happening again for them. They're not that lucky.
So we're going Houston.
Houston.
Lovely. So the next game we have mine and John's New York Giants heading over to Baltimore to get dicked, in my opinion.
Yeah, really is. I think it'll be dicking.
I've got this as the hammering of the week. I think you'll be lucky to score 1 touchdown against them, and they could hammer you with this.
I'm seeing the next game as the hammering of the week.
Yeah, there's a couple coming up, but I think this was the one where I had the biggest point spread. I think you could get. I think it's just the returning wrath of the Ravens. They've been through their slump, and they just seem to be hitting their stride at the right time. Beating the Browns was massive for them 2 weeks ago. It's given them more motivation, and I think you're just going to be an insignificant speck in the way of them steamrollering you. That's not to say I've supported the Giants defense all season, and I've been as complimentary as possible about Daniel Jones and Colt McCoy. And you've got some various good players on your team, but how many of your players would get onto this Ravens team on the offense? None? 1, maybe?
Ingram?
No. What, over Mark Andrews?
I think he'd play with Mark Andrews.
Maybe, but if you just compared them like for like this season, you'd take Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews is hardier as well. That's the main thing. Maybe Slayton as a Sterling Shepard in the slot, because the Ravens receivers aren't great.
No, they're not. But Lamar's now starting to find them again.
Yeah.
The fans of the NFL agree with me that Ingram would go in over Andrews.
Oh, really?
Which of them is in the Pro Bowl?
Oh, I don't know. I told you I'm not paying attention to the bullshit bowl this year. I refuse.
Evan Ingram is in the Pro Bowl and Mark Andrews is not.
Oh, there's many Giants players who could get into who should be in the Pro Bowl, but none on the offense. Maybe Will Hernandez.
I don't think it's deserved. But anyway, that's again over analysis maybe, but I just think it's unfortunate the Giants had a good blip in the middle of the season, but most teams blip and go the other way. You guys blipped and got good for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it's all downhill again, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Always going to be the way, though.
If we then go to the next one on the schedule, we have the Cleveland Browns. Now, this is a game that would have just been like brought to you by dog shit. The Cleveland Browns playing the New York Jets.
The Turd Bowl.
Yeah, the toilet bowl. This is. I think last week was an absolute anomaly. Cleveland are going to wipe the floor with the Jets.
I've got this 34-10 in favour of the Browns. Now, on the podcast yesterday, I rashly took the Jets to win just because it's what I want to see happen. Because there isn't a shred of my body, most of which you can see, that allows me to trust the Browns. Because we have, for all the years we've watched them, they have always buggered it up at some point. Right? Do you remember the year when Brian Hoyer had won like 8 games for them and they still didn't make the playoffs because they only needed 1 win from the last 6 games and they lost them all? It's things like that. They've blown number 1 picks and 3 first-round picks. And so desperately, I can't trust them. And I think it would be hilarious if the Jets continue to crucify their next 10 years of their franchise by missing out on Trevor Lawrence by racking up consecutive wins. However, it's not that realistic. It's just what I would like to see. But in all honesty, the Jets can't stop the run. Quinn Williams has gone on IR.
Excellent.
Today. And I think this Browns team could be looking for double-digit sacks against Darnold.
Yeah, really could.
And also, there's a hell of a secondary.
Yeah. They're just too powerful.
So, yeah, we've got a consensus pick there of Brown.
As well, one of the problems the Rams had was Goff was awful. And he was one of those, every so often he has one of those games where you sort of...
Yeah.
He had one of those games. I just think Mayfield is much better than Goff.
Certainly at the moment.
Yeah, and I think he is a more talented quarterback, and he's in better form. So yeah,
I agree. So the next game we have is the Ron Rivera Bowl, where we have the Carolina Panthers going over to Washington.
Is this not one of the 2 toughest games of the week to pick?
Yeah.
No.
I've got 2 games where I've got multiple question marks. This is one of them. For me, this hinges on, is Antonio Gibson going to play? He is back at practice on a limited basis. So if he plays, that's a massive tick in favour of Washington. Terry McLaurin didn't practice today, but he is only questionable. Then they're saying it's more of a rest and have him available. And then you come to the Dwayne Haskins issue. He actually hasn't played badly last week, but now he's been knocked off of being a team captain because he went and had some lady shake her poontang in his face. And once again, he's let the organisation down. I can't trust him. He's the problem for me because I don't think the Panthers are that good. But whilst they should be there for the taking, especially with the defence that Washington have got, how are this team supposed to throw themselves behind Dwayne Haskins with any level of respect?
I don't think they can. I really don't think they can. It's the same as last week. If this was Smith and Gibson, I would have no issue at all picking football team. But if it's Haskins and McKissick or Haskins and I can't even think who the other one is.
Peyton
Barber. Then sorry, I'm gonna go with the other team, the Panthers.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I want to re-record this on Sunday morning when we know if Gibson's playing.
That's the thing. Like you can change my graphic if all the things that we've alluded to come right, but unless happens, taking the Panthers.
I'm going to pick. I think Gibson may play. I've got Gibson in my fantasy team. I'm hoping he plays because otherwise I will lose.
If he plays, they should win.
And that's it. I'm going to go big because I'm going to win my fantasy league at work with Antonio Gibson. So Washington.
So this is a Pharaohs United here. This is I'm going with the Washington football team also.
Oh, see, now I put a tick next to both of them. Now this is what happened with Paul and the Vikings last week. Because my initial thought was take Washington all day because the Panthers can't win, but they're lacking so much this week. So, I want them to win.
What's Carolina's biggest problem?
They're shit.
Yeah, but that's what. That's what. Who's on their defense? Who's on their defense other than Brian Burns?
Yeah,
who's played outstandingly.
Oh, absolutely. He's brilliant. But what one man of defence does not make.
All right, I'm taking football team. I'm throwing my change of mind out there before we get to the other couple of close games. I'm taking football team. I think it could be an awful game or an amazing game, one of the two. But the Panthers, you can't trust them, and I really want to, but football team should be able to win. I'll take the football team.
The Carolinas are a fart this season.
One of
I
yours.
really like. I
They're
really
either
like
very
the
loud
Panthers.
or they're shit.
I like the Panthers. They're on the right track. I just think I'm going to go with Washington. I think as well they need to win because otherwise Cowboys could catch them.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my point of Carolina being a fart. They're either very loud and entertaining, or they're shit, and that's why you can't trust them. You can't trust a fart. You can't trust Carolina. So the next game we have the Denver Broncos heading over to SoFi Stadium for the Los Angeles Chargers.
So this is the next trickiest game for me to pick because I think it was fairly close the first time round. Was it like 24-21 to the Chargers or 28-24 to the Chargers? The Broncos...
The last game played was 31-30 to the Broncos on
There you go.
1st.
See, I knew it was close. The Broncos have been showing some improvement. Drew Lock hasn't been the dreadful version of Drew Lock that we can see. He turns the ball over too much. But other than that, he's not been dreadful. And I said on this podcast earlier in the year, at no point would I be confident in taking the Chargers. However, how can you be confident taking the Broncos?
I could be.
It's a tough one.
And in Eckler and Keenan Allen, they have as well. Oh, it could be a Gordon revenge game as well. I've just thought of that, but no, I'm going to go Chargers. But I think it'll be really tight, so it'll be within 3 points either way. It may come down
24-27.
I'm going to come even down to the money badge and missing a kick again or something like that.
I'm going to go through some stats with you in terms of the league rankings. Where are the Chargers on offense in the league rankings?
12th.
7th. Where are they in defense?
The Chargers?
Yes.
28th.
24th.
10th.
Really?
Where are they in passing?
Clearly, we don't know. 9th.
5th.
5th. Wow.
And the 18th in rushing.
What about
They're an unlucky team. They remind me of the 49ers the year before they went to the Super Bowl, where they were just losing games they weren't losing games by a massive amount. Obviously, the Patriots notwithstanding. I'm going to go with the Chargers. It's at SoFi. Just my gut's telling me the Chargers. The Broncos. Both of these teams are so inconsistent, but my gut tells me to go with the home team.
Yeah, that's what made my mind up in this was the fact that it's at the Chargers. So 24-27 for me, Chargers.
So then we've also got John.
Chargers.
Okay, cool. So we then got our next game, which we've got Philadelphia going over to Arlington to play the Cowboys.
It's going to be a great game.
This would be my favourite NFL games are just unmitigated chaos. And I think this might be a beautiful bit of chaos.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Eagles.
I'm also going with the Eagles. Last week I was trying to be realistic about Hurts, but actually the more I watch him, the more I think actually he's really, really good. And I know the Cowboys are coming off a big win, but it was the 49ers who are on the beach effectively. So I still see nothing from the Cowboys to make me think that they're even approaching the team that we thought they should have been.
That's
And and the Eagles are at least having a bit of a flash thanks to a new quarterback.
I'll also take the Eagles. You can rack this up as a consensus pick. 28-27. I think it'll be a blindingly close game. But the Eagles have a terrible secondary, and the Cowboys have the wide receivers to exploit that. And Dalton can pick them out. But the Cowboys can't stop anybody running. And Miles Sanders is playing really well.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts can run. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 100+ yards against this Cowboys team. And that is what they need to do to beat them. I'm going to back him because I backed him before. I know they didn't beat the Cardinals last week when I was confident he would. But my word, it was pretty close against a good team. And I'm sticking with him again. I think he's sparked this Eagles team, and he may have even saved Doug Peterson's job.
So we're going for the Michael Stipe here. Everybody hurts. If Eagles for all of us.
We've gone full Stipe, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's nice to know we've gone the full Stipe. So if we then go over to the next game, we've got the LA Rams and their awful logo going over to Seattle. This is a tight game. 9-5 Rams going to the 10-4 Seahawks. Divisional game.
I don't think the Rams can play as bad as they did last week again. And I don't think you need to be 100% to beat this Seahawks. But the Seahawks are getting there despite not playing well.
Come on now. After the embarrassment of losing to the Jets, there is not a hope in hell that the Rams don't win this game.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think Aaron Donald will be looking for blood. I think he was effing furious at the end of that Jets game, and so was Sean McVay, and rightly so. They embarrassed themselves. I think this could be a bad game for the Seattle O-line. I don't think it's a big win. I think it might only be 3 or 6 points for the Rams because they're not great, but Goff can't play that badly, and I wouldn't want to be facing Aaron Donald this week. So I'm taking the Rams 24-21.
Using the league ranking system, where are the Rams on league rankings on defense?
First or second?
Sixth. First.
I'm the Redskins. What am I on about? The Seahawks beat the football team by 5 points without their best quarterback and without their star running back. This is not a 10-4 team. This Seahawks.
They are because they are. But
they are, but they don't deserve to be.
Well, I know what you're saying.
I know what you're saying, but they are, and they have got there. But are they of a team you'd seem of sufficient quality to get into playoff football? No, they just are. They are gifted with a generational quarterback who still doesn't get the love he deserves, even on a bad year. And it's not even a bad year; it's a bad 6 weeks where he's been merely human. He's been merely human the last 6 weeks.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, also it doesn't help that you had probably the example of if you were to ask the man in the street who doesn't watch American football to name a football player, they would name the quarterback in front of him. They would say Tom Brady. And you had Tom Brady in place. As soon as Tom Brady drops off, you have probably the most gifted quarterback of all time come in place in Mahomes. Wilson's never really had the position to lead, has he?
No, that's a fair point. It's like a lot of very good players who always seem to be second place to Brett Favre. Brett Favre was actually very rarely the best quarterback in the league, but over a massively sustained period like Brady, he was the most famous. He was the one with the most touchdowns and probably the one with the most wins, but he wasn't always the best one. Brady was very rarely individually each season the best quarterback, but over a sustained period of time, he was the most famous.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah. So we're going Rams.
We are.
Rams.
Fantastic. So next we have the Tennessee Titans going over to Lambeau to play the Packers.
I think this is a really intriguing game.
This is TV highlight of the week.
TV highlight of the week.
Props to Harry Hill. Titans. I'm taking Titans 35-31. The Packers will be brilliant. They'll play really well. They cannot stop the run. It's 200-yard game for Derrick Henry. That's all they've got to do. Feed Derrick Henry. Corey Davis is a poor man's Devontae Adams, but that's not a bad thing. And AJ Brown is also halfway towards being Devontae Adams. I just think there's too much. This Titans team will surrender points, but so will the Packers. They can't defend a good running team. Haven't done it at all.
No.
I disagree with you both, and I'm going for the Packers.
Wow. Yay! Finally, some contest to it.
I'm going to say the reason why I'm going for the Packers is just Rodgers is having an up season, clearly. This is at Lambeau in the middle of winter. It's not a nice environment to go to. The Titans are... I just feel, man for man, the Packers are a better roster at home, and if I'm ever unsure, I'll go for the home team. So that's why I'm going for the Packers.
That's some good reasoning.
I mean, to be fair, the Packers are really, really good. I mean, they lead the NFC because they are a really great team. But I just think it's a bad matchup. That's what it is. I think I just think it's a bad matchup for the Packers.
I agree.
The Titans' defense isn't that great.
No, it's terrible.
No.
They're 27th in the league.
Yeah, it's not about their defense. You know they're going to concede points. It's whether or not on the running game they can keep ahead of the Packers. And for what's the Packers' run defense like? I don't know what it's like, but what is it, 28th in the league or something? It's bad.
Their defense overall is 8th.
Yes, but their run defense has been bad.
I just feel if it came to a point of this is a defense that will allow points, this is a defense that will allow points to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And Devontae Adams.
But I just think the Tennessee will score more points. That's what it is. I think it could be a really high scoring game. I think the Titans on this almost. I think it could almost be a shootout but I think the Titans will score more because they have the best running back in the league right now on form against a Rush defense, which struggles. So, and if because of that might free up Corey Davis. It might free up AJ Brown, who I think. I mean, AJ Brown, second year pro, is really he's really, really good. Yeah. I don't think I don't think he gets enough love, but I just think I'm sure he does. I think it's just a bad matchup, and it happens.
That's fair. I disagree with you both. I'm going for the Packers.
Good. Next one.
The next game we have is the final game, and this is an interesting one.
Is this the Monday game?
It is, well, in the UK, the Tuesday game.
Yes.
But we cater to all audiences.
I mean,
you think this will be an interesting game, do you?
I tell you why it's interesting, because Buffalo have nothing to play for.
So they're playing for pride. They don't want to. They spent 25 years getting beaten by the Patriots. They will ruin this Patriots team. The Patriots got nothing to play for either. They're just playing for a position in the draft. They will get annihilated, probably by 15 or 20 points. I think I've got it at like 31-10 to the Bills. I think they will absolutely run all over the Patriots. Stephen Gilmore's out for the season. He's done. We don't have a quarterback. The Bills' defense since the last time we played them. Josh Allen's on a hot streak. Cole Beasley's on a hot streak.
Wow. Stephon Diggs is one of the best wide receivers in the league right now.
So not a chance. This will be such a flat game when the Bills are 20 points up at halftime.
There's that meme that went around of the, it always was, with the gun in the back.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs, he always was one of the best receivers in the league. He just had Adam Thielen there and a jerk throwing to him.
I think it was the jerk throwing to him. That's what it was. And and he has a strong personality, and he wants the ball. And the Vikings are they have a coach who wants to run a rush offense,
Have you noticed we haven't heard a peep out of Stephon Diggs this season? You've heard nothing. You couldn't quote any interview that he's given because he hasn't said a thing.
The only time I remember him was when he scored a touchdown. Remember the one where the Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins got the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Well, 10 seconds before that, Diggs had got a go-ahead touchdown for the Bills, and he turned to the camera and he just went, "That's why they pay me them big money." That's the only and I don't mind that actually because
it's true.
I think also it's Antonio Brown caused a lot of drama, but when he was leading the league in touchdown receptions and was getting, one of the best, 1,500 yards a season, you didn't hear anything out of him.
No, it's true.
So, I don't get me wrong, Buffalo will win. I don't think by much.
I'm going to say by much.
Yeah. John and I are in lockstep here this week, I see.
Yeah, it's annoying. But we've got one more. We've got one more week of regular and the playoffs to split us up.
I think, So we all going Buffalo with this.
Of course we are.
Yeah, Bills.
I defy you to take the Patriots, Paul.
Like my mail.
We're going for the Beyonce approach. We're going for the Destiny's Child approach with this prediction.
Yeah, go on. Yeah. I get the joke. Bills. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
we can't sing it because we have to pay them money.
Are you ready for this jelly? What? Go on.
I can't remember the effing song anyway. That was just an excuse.
It's 20-11. I do fancy some jelly. So if we wrap this up soon, I might go and have some. Those are our results for the week that we have predicted. So I look forward to us reconvening at some point over the festive period to commiserate and congratulate when we have a look at the Packers destroying the Titans and the Las Vegas Raiders. I nearly call them the Vaders. That's the name they should have gone for.
Oh, the Big Van Vaders. That's what they should have gone with.
That's what the stadium should be.
It's time.
Yeah.
Let's see where we are next week. Thank you very much for giving us some of your time and staring at Topless Michael on YouTube. It's very much appreciated.
Lusting after Topless Michael.
Do you want to put my phone number up on the screen, John? That's fine.
We always said nude equals views, and I'm glad that we've lived up to it. So next time I'll wear something on the bottom half for when we record. So I think it's good. So thank you for your time. Let's football. See you later.
Merry Christmas.